even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success of Krishna Prema. Once again, I thank everyone for joining today's Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Let us go on to our next part of the session, which is Srimad Bhagavatam class. May I know who all joined this morning?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Arvindaksha Das from Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Arvindaksha Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for joining and giving your session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharajas, and all glories to the assembled devotees. This is Tiffany in Pennsylvania. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Tiffany Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every day and giving your sweet association. Hare Krishna, welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. And to all the summer devotees, this is Megha from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Megha Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining every day and chanting so beautifully. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Go ahead, Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji. No problem. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Ishwari Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your sweet association and chanting so beautifully. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every day and giving your sweet association. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji, all please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. I'm Charana Sevi Lakshmi from Malaysia.
Hare Krishna, Charan Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving your association and beautiful chanting today. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada, thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Priti Vilasni Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your sweet association. Hari Bol, welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances to you and all assembled devotees. Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. This is Shivani from Ashton, Virginia. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining all the calls and giving your association. Welcome to the call. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to assembled devotees. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining each and every day and giving your association. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shyama Gauri Devdasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shyama Gauri Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your association, and thank you so much for all your services. Hari Bol, welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. We accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Indulekha Karna Devi Dasi from Lincoln. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Indulekha Karna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving your association. Thank you so much for all your services. Hari Bol, welcome to the call. I guess Prabhuji is on the call. Mataji, we will start the recording.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every day and giving your recitation. Hari Bol, welcome to the call.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Sukumar Gaur Prabhu to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam 6th canto, chapter 1, 58, verse to 60. Before I hand over the call to Prabhu, I request Raj Prabhu to give brief introduction for today's speaker.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dhanva Pranam to you and all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Shri Guru and Gauranga. Here's a brief introduction for Prabhuji. His Grace Sukumar Gaur Prabhuji came in touch with the devotees of ISKCON in 2003. Prabhuji found all his questions answered in the books of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. As a student of MBA Finance, Prabhu studied Srila Prabhupada books and became a sincere practitioner. He took up a job with NCD Exchange Mumbai, but soon took on a 2-year Brahmachari training course at Sri Radha Gopinath Temple, Mumbai, and was initiated into Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj in 2010. Prabhuji served in the youth preaching department, but he found his true joy in sharing Krishna consciousness with the youth. So he gave up his job and decided to guide the youth by helping them understand the message of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhu joined ISKCON Chopati as a resident in 2009. Later, he was posted to ISKCON Nasik Temple, where he is serving as a youth counselor to various colleges in the area of Nasik. Prabhu conducts seminars on personality development in educational and corporate sectors. This is a very brief introduction for Prabhuji. Over to you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dhanva Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Raj Prabhu. Thank you so much for that introduction. Hare Krishna, Sukumar Gaur Prabhu. We can't see you on video.
Mataji, just give me 2 minutes. I'll be joining. I need some time to connect.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah. 2 minutes.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining and giving your valuable time and association this morning. We are eagerly waiting to hear from you, Prabhu. Please take over the call. Hare Krishna.
Sorry for being late. Okay. Yeah. So can we see the shloka, Mataji? So that.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. So we'll start with Mangala Charan so that we can invoke auspiciousness for all devotees. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सुजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम Hare Krishna. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, text 58 to 60. Okay. So we'll directly go to the translation and purport. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Once this Brahmana Ajamil, following the orders of his father, went to the forest to collect fruit, flowers, and two kinds of grass called Samit and Kushan. On the way home, he came upon a Shudra, a very lusty fourth-class man, who was shamelessly embracing and kissing a prostitute. The Shudra was smiling, singing, and enjoying, as if this were proper behavior. Both the Shudra and the prostitute were drunk. The prostitute's eyes were rolling in intoxication, and her dress had become loose. Such was the condition in which Ajamil saw them. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. While traveling along the public way, Ajamil came upon a fourth-class man and a prostitute, who are vividly described here. Drunkenness was sometimes manifest even in the bygone ages, although not very frequently. In this age of Kali, however, such sin is to be seen everywhere, for people all over the world have become shameless. Long ago, when he saw the scene of the drunken Shudra and the prostitute, Ajamil, who was a perfect brahmachari, was affected. Nowadays, such a sin is visible in so many places, and we must consider the position of brahmachari student who see such behavior. For such a brahmachari to remain steady is very difficult unless he is extremely strong in following the regulative principles. Nevertheless, if he takes to Krishna consciousness very seriously, he can withstand the provocations created by sin. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we prohibit illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling. In Kali Yuga, a drunk, half-naked woman embracing a drunk man is a common sight, especially in the Western countries, and restraining oneself from seeing such things is very difficult. Nevertheless, if by the grace of Krishna one adheres to the regulative principles and chants the Hare Krishna mantra, Krishna will certainly protect him. Indeed, Krishna says that his devotee is never vanquished. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktya pranashyati. Therefore, all the disciples practicing Krishna consciousness should obediently follow the regulative principles and remain fixed in chanting the holy names of Lord. Then there is no need, then there need be no fear. Otherwise, one's position is very dangerous, especially in this Kali Yuga. Hare Krishna. So we welcome all devotees for this Srimad Bhagavatam class. Grateful to all of you for allowing me to make a presentation. This is a very pertinent topic and very frequently discussed among all the Srimad Bhagavatam classes. So here we see, if you see the word-to-word translation of the words that Srila Prabhupada has given is very wide, is very vivid. So Prabhupada is using various means to make us understand as to what is exactly happening in the event. So the words that here Prabhupada is using, Bhujishaya, with a maid servant who he was enjoying with. Then there is Vyapetam, means without fear of others, which is indicative of his shamelessness. It is showing that he was not able to restrain himself. The people whom Ajamil is seeing, they were not able to restrain themselves, and they are behaving without any fear of the society. Prabhupada says this is indicative of their fallen behavior. Anaya is enjoying, they were enjoying with each other. So any story which Bhagavat starts is always with Ekada, once upon a time. Vanam yatha patra sandeshakrit. So Ajamil, why did he go to the forest? It was not on his own accord that he went to the forest. Patra sandeshakrit, he was carrying out the orders of his father. Dvija adaya tatha. And from which family did he belong? Dvija, he was from a Brahmana family. Adaya means he went to the forest for collecting. So what did he collect from the forest? While returning, he had already collected Phala, Pushpa, Samita, Kushan. He had already collected Phala, means fruits, Pushpa, flowers, Samit, Kushan. There are two kinds of grasses that are required for the yajna. So this is the element that he was already carrying in his hand. The very point that Shukdev Goswami wants to indicate here is the element that he was carrying in his hand were all very pure. A person, even if you read Bhagavad in so many places, third canto, where there is description of various forests that is given, may it be in the Vaikuntha Loka, may it be in the Sadashiv Loka, or may it be here. So there is something called as Punya Druma. Punya Druma or Punya Lata means there are flowers and fruits and trees which are Punya, which are very auspicious, which are very pious. So they have a particular fragrance and a texture and beautiful colors. So this is indicative that these are Punya Lata or Punya Druma. Druma means they are flowers and trees which are Punya, which are very auspicious. So a person who is auspicious, who is having auspicious character, who is having auspicious qualities in himself, will automatically go and collect those kinds of elements. It's so natural. Just like we see when the Pandavas went during the Draupadi Swayamvar and they won. Before that, they were tested by her father. So they were sent in a room and there were different elements that were displayed there. So they directly didn't go, so they directly went to where all the arms were kept, arms and weapons and ammunition was kept. So this is indicative of their mindset. So here the words is saying that Phala, Pushpa, Samit, Kushan is indicative that he went there to collect all the elements that were required for Yajna, which were all pure, which is indicative of his nature as well. But just like the word used here is Ekada, once upon a time. So during that event, when he was already in a pure state of mind, he had been to the forest to collect all the elements which were pure by nature. He himself was in a very good state of mind. But suddenly what happened was Dadrisha. He saw in between this event, he saw Dadrisha means he saw Kaminam Kanchit. He saw a person who was very lusty. Kaminam means they were filled with the emotions of lust. So the point that I want to highlight here is The word that is used is kaminam. Kaminam is the emotions in the people whom he saw was full of lust. So lust was the prominent emotion. Now here, Ajamil was in a very peaceful state of mind. All his emotions were very well settled. But all of a sudden, he sees something and he comes in contact with something called as Kamina, or the emotions or the event which is filled with emotion of lust. Now, please understand that lust is one of the most prominent emotions in the place we are staying, called as material world. It is so prominent that you can find it anywhere. The point that Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. Now, one thing we have to understand, that Prabhupada makes this point in the purport itself, that anything and everything has an effect on our lifestyle or on our mind. Uh, in Bhagavad, this is called as prabhav. Prabhav means it has an influence. Just like, for an example, if we are sitting in a room or if we are sitting in a garden and all of a sudden a ant crawls on the body and it bites. Okay. Now, when the ant bites, it leaves a mark which stays on the body for at least 2 days, minimum of 2 days, and all the while you'll be scratching it or trying to stop the itch. So if a small ant which measures like some fraction, okay, in the scale, has that potential to leave its presence felt on our body for 2 days, can you imagine how other things can have impact on us? If a small ant can have that impact, each and everything in this material creation has some impact on our mind. So we have to be very cautious while dealing with things. Now here what has happened was, somehow that cautious presence of mind has been diverted, has taken away, has taken the control of Ajamil. And then what happens, he sees, he tries to go in depth to see even more what is happening with them. So Kanchit Shudram Saha Bhuji Shaya. So he just had a glance, and after that he went on to see the details. Bhuji Shaya, an ordinary maid servant or a prostitute, Prabhupada translate. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says she was a maid servant of the person whom she was there with. Pitvacha Madhu Maitreyam. So they both were drunk. Mother, not only drunk, they were completely intoxicated. Intoxicated means both of them had lost their control on their own self. How do you understand they had lost their control? Agurunita Netraya. Their eyes were constantly moving. They both have become so agitated that it is constantly seen by the movement of their eyes. When a person is agitated or he desires to see something more and more frequently, then his eyes are constantly moving here and there. So this is what Agurunita Nitraya Mattaya, they were intoxicated by the strong emotions that they were going through. Vishlata Nivaya, and in the entire episode the dresses are slackened. Vepitum, fallen from proper behavior, and they already have lost control of their emotions, they have lost control of all their actions, and which is seen here. Nirapatrapam means without fear of public opinion, what the people will be saying. They are not worried about that. They have lost control to such a great extent that they are not fearful about public opinion. Kridantam, and they're enjoying in their own way. Anugayantam, not only enjoying, they are singing. Hasantam, smiling. Anaya, Antike, and they are very closely associating with each other. So now when Ajamil is seeing this entire event, he's seeing this entire episode, now it is surely going to affect his mind, which will be coming in the further story. So it is very easy to understand lust as an emotion is very prominent, and just by the sight, it has got triggered, and all his emotions will now start unsettling. Okay, so we all know this, that we have read it so many times, we have heard it so many times in Gita again and again, that Krishna says this, that lust is the only enemy that we have. Okay, but lust makes a person so helpless that most of the time people outside, they feel that it is so natural and we can't do much about it, so let's flow through the emotion of lust and we'll see whatever happens, to whatever extent it goes, we are ready to go, because we are not able to handle. So not only that, even some Shubhashitkars have glorified lust by saying Eka Vastu Dvida Akartum Bahava Santi Dhanvina Jayanti Jayati Ekasmaro Dhanvi Dvayam Ekya Karotiyas. He says that it is very easy to shoot an arrow and break one thing into two. But see the power of lust. When Kamdev hits his arrow, two people become one in their minds and on level of body. So that is the power of lust. Usually we see arrow breaks one thing into two, but lust arrow is so strong that it combines two people, making them one, and from that is where the entire materialistic life starts. So that is the power of lust. Not only that, anybody and everybody in the entire creation is tormented by this great enemy, which Krishna calls, which has unsatiable hunger. Even Krishna says in Gita, one who has conquered his mind. In short, he says one who has conquered his lust. 6.7 Krishna says, Jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samahita shita ushna sukadukkeshu tata manapman. He has already reached the Paramatma, one who has conquered his mind. And the main enemy, Krishna says, is lust. So one who has conquered his lust, it has to be understood that he is almost reached the Paramatma, or on his way to reaching the Paramatma. So let's try and understand this entire episode from one shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, which is a very peculiar and very prominent shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam. Most of the Indians, without understanding this shloka, they sing it in all their artis, Ganpati Arti, Durga Arti, Shankar Arti. But this shloka, nobody knows from where it is originating. It comes from Uddhav Gita. Krishna is saying this is from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Before that, we would try to understand this event from one more kind of event which has taken in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is a very well-known event, but Acharyas explain it through a very different angle. So we all are very well versed with the event of Putana entering Gokul. Okay. So we also know that Prabhupada has given 2-3 meanings of the word go. Go means cows, go means senses, go means earth. Okay. So these are the various explanation that Prabhupada gives in his purport. Kula also means family or network. So here Gokula is what? Gokula is network of senses. This is one definition that the Acharyas give. And what is the first trouble that appears in Gokul? What is the definition of Gokul we have taken? Network of senses. Okay. So in this body, which is network of senses, what is the first trouble that any sadhaka has to face in his mind or in his senses? That is Putana. And what is Putana? It is a lady, a opposite gender. So opposite gender for male and female. But taking Putana, now they'll be giving explanation what Putana is indicative for both male and female. Okay. So the first trouble that a sadhaka will be facing is the opposite gender. Okay, this is what the acharyas are saying in their commentary. So Gokula is the network of senses, and the first obstacle that the person, when he starts his desire to serve Krishna, will be the opposite gender for that sadhaka. And what will that first attraction to the opposite gender do? It will create a great havoc, just like Putana has created in Gokul. So that is how they explain the coming of Putana. Okay, but now they'll also be giving the solution part, which I have taken from this very pertinent shloka from 11th canto. I'll just explain the entire purport. I have not done anything else. I have just taken the entire thing and I'll be explaining it in basic terms. Okay. So Putana enters Gokul. We know that Putana is the first person to enter Gokul. She was allowed entry by Yogmaya. Okay. Why? Because we know that the pastime has to be carried out, and that is why she's allowed entry in Gokula. Okay. So Putana, she came wandering, and she has now converted herself into a very beautiful lady. And the entire description of Putana 10.6.4, this famous shloka, that gives the explanation that how she has dressed herself, how she has come, what she has wore. in entire great detail. Can you imagine? Shukdev Goswami is giving the great detail about the description of Putana's body. Okay, now she is a khechari. Khechari means what? She has come flying and she is entering Gokula, and she is dressed very beautifully. Now the various acharyas have given various understandings to this event. Now Shripad Vallabhacharya is saying that Krishna's birth is in Rohini Nakshatra, Shravan Mas, Rohini Nakshatra, Ashtami. Okay. Now why Krishna chose Rohini Nakshatra? Because he knew later Rohini Mata will ask, why you didn't take birth from my womb? Then Krishna had to have some answer. So he had chosen Rohini Nakshatra. This is what Shripad Vallabhacharya is saying. Okay. But at the same time, there is also on the sixth day from Krishna's birth, there is something called as an Ashlesha Nakshatra, which is a Gandamula Nakshatra. So this Ashlesha is a very inauspicious nakshatra. This constellation called Ashlesha is very inauspicious. And this is the time, if a person has not done various kind of rituals for his protection, so this time, which lasts for almost like 24 minutes, can prove very fatal for his life. Okay, and this is the exact moment which Putana has chosen to kill. On the sixth day she comes, this is the exact timing she has chosen to kill Krishna. That is how wise Putana is. Okay, now she knows that this is the time which is very risky for Krishna. This is called as a Vishagatika. This 24 minutes, the entire episode will take place in this 24 minutes. Okay, now we know that she has chosen perfect time, and not only perfect time, she has chosen the perfect methodology. Look at the wiseness of Putana. She has done everything at best to deal with the situation. She has decorated Kesha Bandha Mallika, Krisha Udari, Ramaniya Vastra, Karna Bhasha, Sundar Hasya, Kataksha, Ambojakara. Everything is perfect. Whatever she can do, she has done, taken it very strategically. Timing very strategic. Her coming very strategic. The event, how it flows, has to be very strategic. But the internal purpose is very poisonous, and this is exactly how lust is. Externally looks very, very charming, but internally the nature of lust is, it is very poisonous. Just like Putana, even though externally she was looking like a mother, internal her heart was totally poisonous. She had put poison on her body. Okay, so now Gokul is this body that we are staying. The network of the senses is now enticed by an enchantress. Okay, now she is coming, and the entire Gokul, not only the mothers of Krishna and Balaram were enchanted. Entire Gokula was enchanted by the coming of Putana. So the network of senses so easily get attracted to the opposite gender. That is what the acharyas are trying to say here. Okay. So the most important enticers for Gokula, the network of the senses, is the beautiful form of a man or a woman. And Putana here has taken the beautiful form of a lady. There are two most important things that the acharyas highlight here. She is a lady. Okay, she has beautiful body. She has beautiful bodily features. But two things are very prominent. Acharyas focus on these 2 points. One will be for ladies and one will be for gents. One will be for male and one will be for female. Okay. Now, Putana took a form which was decorated with gold ornaments. Her form is very beautiful, but that form is decorated with what? Gold ornaments. So, for both male and female, there will be one enticer. For the network of the senses, Gokula, Putana who has entered, two most prominent features, gold ornaments and her beautiful form. So for ladies, gold is the most prominent enticer. This is what acharyas say. Okay. And for men, the beautiful form of a lady, that is the most prominent enticer. Okay. So this is what the acharyas are presenting here. And this is very easily seen when somebody goes to a marriage party. Women will be looking here and there to each other's ornaments. Oh, she has such nice bangle, she has such nice whatever jewelry she has. And men will be looking to each other's wives. Oh, she's so beautiful, more beautiful than my wife. This is exactly what happens. And this is what the acharyas are mentioning in their commentary. Okay. And this is easily seen in marriage parties. So Putana knew the weakness of both men and women. And that is how she tried to entice the entire Gokul, not leaving anybody, not even the mothers of Krishna and Balaram were spared. So she tried to entice the entire Gokula, and that was allowed by Yogamaya. It was not her own power. That was done by Yog Maya so that the Leela can float. And the same thing can be seen even in Mohini Murti. Mohini Murti came in such a beautiful form, that the demons were ready to offer anything and everything just for her sweet smile and her glances. They said, even if you don't give us any Amrut, we are happy. You just keep smiling to us. That is what Acharya is saying. So that is the power of the material things that the material energy has to offer. It can entice the entire network of senses that a sadhaka is staying. And prominent thing is the soul is within, but the network which is fired or energized by the energy of the soul gets carried away. And that is how the soul also gets carried away, thinking that I am liking this. And that is how the entire journey of material life starts. Now, here in 1067, the Putana, while she was searching, her main business is described that she was searching for kids who were born in last 10 days. Okay, that is how she enters Nanda Maharaja's house without being unobstructed, because the entire network is so deeply attracted by the external form that nobody stops her. Same thing happens when we see a beautiful object. We feel, okay, this is the best thing for me, and we get carried out. Okay, so this is how lust also works. And she is compared in the shloka, Dadarsha talpe agnim ivahitam avasi. Just like fire is covered by ash. Okay, and it is only matter of time, some air blows and the ash is uncovered and the fire flames up. Same thing is with lust. Lust is like that fire covered with ash. It needs something, some trigger. Just like what was the trigger here for Ajamil? Sight became the trigger. Okay, so as soon as he saw, now what has happened, it has triggered the entire event for Ajamil. So just like that, air is required to trigger fire. One sight, one sound, one smell, one taste, one touch can trigger the entire fire of lust that is hiding within us. Just like the fire is covered by ash. So same thing has happened here. Okay. Now in the 8th shloka, it is described, the all-pervading super soul is lying in the bed, understood that Putana has come. Okay. And who is this person? The shloka is saying, 8th shloka, she is expert in killing small children. And as if Krishna is afraid of Putana, he is closing his eyes. Now that Ananta, Krishna here is called as Ananta in the 8th shloka. That person who is Ananta, who is unlimited, has now become ready to settle down in the lap of Putana, which is limited. Okay, the acharyas are giving this comment. Ananta has now accepted to settle in the lap which is limited. So this is the contradiction that they are bringing out. Okay, but Putana forgot one thing. Now here she is compared to a person, Anantam Aropyat Ankam Antakam. Now this Anantam will now become Antakam, very deadly for her. Yatha rogam suptam abuddha rajjudhi. Just like a person who has no knowledge about snake thinks a rope to be snake and takes it on his lap. That same thing is going to happen here with Putana. Same what we do when we feel or see some object, we feel it very pleasurable. We take it on our lap, forgetting that the same object can destroy us. This is what happens exactly with Putana. Okay, so Putana took him on her lap But who was that person? It was Antakam. He is going to annihilate her. How? Just like as an unintelligent person places a sleeping snake on his lap, thinking that that snake is a soft rope. And that is how Krishna is now going to destroy. Now, Krishna's name here is Animisha. He never blinks his eyes. But that is only out of Vraj. But here Krishna, who never blinks his eyes, open eyes, has now closed his eyes here. Now, why is Krishna called as Antakam? This is the point that Acharyas will highlight here. Krishna is called Antakam because soon he'll be going to destroy the not only Putana. Putana as a soul is a person, okay? The entire internal emotional structure of Putana is now going to get changed. Okay, so Antakam, that Anantam, who is full of positive emotions, will now become Antakam. Why? Because he is going to destroy all the negative emotions that Putana has. He will be ending her materialistic emotions, and now all those emotions that she had in a negative sense will turn out to be very positive for Krishna. And that is today what we'll be discussing in brief, taking one purport of Srila Prabhupada, written by his disciple, by Prabhupada's disciple, that emotions are our key strength. But the point is, we have placed them in a wrong place, and that is what is causing a great havoc. Okay, so here Krishna will not at all spare Putana. He will not. That is why he's called Anta. Anta means end. He'll take her to the end. Acharya says Balramji was far better. He at least made Duryodhan his disciple. But here Krishna will say nothing doing. She has to be finished. All her emotions, negative emotions, I'll finish today itself. Nothing doing. She has to bring all her emotions to me. She has come, so I will accept her as she is, with all her negative, positive, leftover emotions, and I'll purify all those emotions, and I'll develop those emotions by which she will consider me as her real son. Okay, so this point that I want to make here is that the entire gamut of Krishna consciousness is what? The name of our organization is Krishna Consciousness. Okay, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. In Hindi, it is a Krishna Bhavana Amrit Sangha. So what we have to do in ISKCON is nothing else. Starting with this point, we'll end with the same point. What we have to do is whatever emotions we have are to be transferred to Krishna. Right now, what we have is emotions for anything and everything that is material. Pati, Sutanvayat, Bhratra Bandhavat, Ati Vilangate. What are all this? They are saying we have left all our emotions. Who's this? Gopis are saying we have left all our emotions for them. And now all our emotions are flowing to you, Krishna. That is the stage that we want to achieve, and that is the solution that the acharyas present here to overcome lust. Otherwise, there is no other solution for overcoming lust. Okay, so in Aila Geet, 11th canto, 26:12, this shloka comes: Kim vidyaya, kim tapsa, kim tyagena shrutena va, kim viviktena maunena stribhir yasya manoritam. They are saying, what is the point in doing vidya, learning so much, tapsa, for performing so many austerities, tyagena, renouncing the world, shrutena, hearing so many shlokas from various scriptures, kim viviktena maunena, what is the point in keeping a mauna vrat, strivir yasya manoritam, if your mind is absorbed in relation of a man or woman, what is the point of doing all these things? Means they are saying already given up. If you are not doing this, everything else is a failure. So problem is defined. Okay, this attraction, this emotional imbalance has to be corrected. If you are failing to do this, life is already imperfect. There is no perfection for life. And on the contrary, to give hope, rather there is one shloka which takes away the hope. 3:31-37. What is that shloka? Tat shrishta shrishta shristeshu kono akhandita dhipuman rishim narayana rite yoshin maya. Acharyas are saying, Tat Shrishta Shrishta Shristeshu. Brahmaji created Manus created the society and the men. Okay, so the human society are speaking about what? Shrishta Shrishta means the human society. Okay, Kono Akhandita Dhipuman, who is the one who is so steadfast that he doesn't lose his control? Yushin Mayatma Maya. When a man sees a woman and a woman sees a man, who is there in this world who can stay controlled? Except Rishim Narayana Rite, except for Naranarayan Rishi, nobody else has till date been able to do this. Now you may say, is this hope giving or is this hope taking away? Okay. Now let's come to the solution part. So they are saying that if we want to arise above all this, then there is something that we will have to do. Then 3:31-39 they are saying, Sangam na kuryat pramadasu jata yogasya param paramarurukshu. Arurukshu means one wants to transcend in this path of spiritual progress. Mat sevaya pratilabdha labho vadanti ya niryam dwaramasya. So they are saying, if a person who wants to transcend this mat sevaya, he has to transfer all his emotions to me. How? Through my service. Okay, this is the way by which one can come out. Otherwise, man, women, now you may say this is all very impractical. How can people who are living in the society, how can man and women stay awake? There are only two ways. Either you take to Brahmacharya Vrat or Sannyas, or second option is Bilva Mangal Thakur. Then the only two options are available. And none of these are very practical for all the population. Okay. Now, 3:31-43, they are making it very clear. Tam atmano vijaniyat patyapatya grahatmakam. For those who are staying in family life, especially for women, they are saying this 3:31-41. They are saying tam atmano vijaniyat. Now you may say only this is a male pro society. No. Now this shloka is exclusively for women, for Mataji. How? They are saying how women are cheated in this material world. Now this is the shloka 3:31-43. Tam atmano vijaniyat patya apatya grahatmakam. Patya means pati, husband. Apatya means children. Graha means house. Atmakam. When you start considering them as yours, Daivopachidam mrityum. A woman should understand that they are like mrityu for their spiritual life and personal life, because from there starts bondage. How? Mrigayor gayanam yata. Just like a mriga, a deer, when a hunter starts singing, that deer gets entrapped just by the beautiful singing. So it is not only about male or female, it is for both way. This is very clear now. Okay. So for women, male are the trap, and for male, female are the trap. Okay. Now, if we want to get out of all this, we have to understand how we have to transfer these emotions, because by default in a family life or anywhere else, emotions naturally start flowing towards any person. Just like there is a family, mother sees the child, emotions flow to the child. Husband sees the wife, it starts flowing there. Wife sees the husband, emotions start flowing there. Wife sees mother and father, emotions start flowing there. It is all emotion dealing. It is all about bhavana. The entire world is functioning on something called as emotions, and there is something called as lust, which is the most prominent emotion that has caught us here. Okay. So there is something called as Kama Gita in Mahabharata. So this is a very practical point. Now this Kamdev has been interviewed. He's been asked, how are you so powerful? Then he's answering it. He says, I cannot be killed by any way. Then they ask, why? How can you not be killed by any way? He says, I am so subtle, I am so powerful, that if a person takes to any sadhana or any sadhan means instrument for achieving something. If he takes to any sadhan, I enter that sadhan, I take over that sadhan or that instrument and kill the sadhaka. This is what he is saying in Kama Gita. Who is saying this? Kamdev is saying. For example, this is very practical. We all have experienced this. Anger. Take anger for an emotion. There is fight between two devotees, very strong fight, not speaking to each other from last 2 days, and you're chanting early in the morning. What will happen? That anger as emotion, Kamdev will now enter through that. He will take over anger and he will destroy all your japa. There will be no japa, there will be only anger manifestation. Same thing applies with lust. You see something or we see something and emotion as lust rises up and can't focus. Why? Because Kamdev has now entered that chanting. He says, I'll use that chanting to destroy your spiritual life. That is how he is working. So he says, I cannot be killed. So that is how powerful lust is. Forget about we all ordinary people. Those devotees who are the associates of the Lord are attacked. Sugriva, for example, Kaliya Krishnadas, for example, staying with the Lord, still affected by Maya in the form of male or either female, whatever the gender that is. So now what to do about all this? Okay. So Kashayam nacha bhojanadi niyaman no va vane vasato. So going to forest is not the solution. Wearing of saffron dress is not the solution. Bhojanam adi niyama. You try and control your diet. Okay. Now, if we speak of diet, Vishwamitra Muni used to eat leaves, dry leaves, that too once a day. Okay. And here we are in ISKCON. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and if there is a party or a mega festival in temple, then you forget everything. There is nothing called as control there. Okay, and if it is Girirajji's Mahabhishek, then forget everything. There is no control on that. Okay, now Vishwamitra eating dry leaves once a day, and there is some tinkling, and is out of scope. So what to speak of you all? We are taking breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, Mataji saying Janmashtami coming, but that one day is also so heavy for us. We are not meditating on Krishna, we are meditating when the fast will break. So here they are saying this all will not work. So what is the solution? So the solution for sadhaka, especially those who want to advance in Krishna consciousness, the solution given here is balance. Okay, neither too much of renunciation is allowed for sadhaka, neither too much of enjoyment is allowed. It has to be balanced. Gita also speaks the same thing. 3rd chapter, 6th, 7th, 8th shloka you can read. It speaks about all these three things. The same thing is Bhagavatam 11:28. Okay, so balance is the key for a bhakti yogi. Yadrichaya mat katado jata shraddhas tuya puman na nirvinno na atisakto. Nirvinno means not to detach. Na atisakto, not to attach. Bhakti yoga asya siddha. If you want to make bhakti yoga siddha or perfect, then you have to balance. There is no other way. And how to do that? Yadrichaya mat kathado jata shraddha. That can be done by hearing about Krishna. And when we start hearing about Krishna, naturally there is development of emotion for Krishna. And the best example is Rukmini Devi. Hearing. Emotions start to develop. Okay. So, na nirvinna na atisakto, bhakti yoga. So, bhakti yogi, if he wants to make progress, then he has to be balanced. Okay. Now, what is the problem with being too attached? If a person becomes too attached, so he will continuously keep on working. I'm doing this action, I need this thing. I am doing this action, I need this. So he will not be entitled for bhakti yoga. He will become a karma yogi or a karma kandi. Okay. Because he is acting for his desires. Now, if a person is too renounced, what will happen? If he is too renounced, then he will not be entitled for bhakti. He will be entitled for what? He will be entitled for jnana yoga, because too much of jnana will make the heart dry, because there is too much of renunciation. And the best example for this is Vishwamitra Muni. He, for first time he failed, second time he failed, third time is so hard and rigid. But then Trishanku's episode take place. Doing so much of austerities, it heart became so dry. He couldn't taste anything in terms of spiritual practices. Okay. So when does he start actually tasting the things? Is when he sees Sri Ram. When he takes Sri Ram with him, the first day journey ends and he puts to bed, both of them, Ram and Lakshman. Next day, he wakes up very early morning. He wakes up and he's seeing that the sun is about to rise, and these two Rajkumaras, these two princes have not woken up. So he goes to wake them up, and first time he's seeing the beauty of Lord Ram. The heart that has become dry by tapasya for the, yes, that is where he starts saying Kausalya, Kausalya, Kausalya. He's not saying anything else because he is so happy seeing the two sons of Kausalya that he is not saying anything else. He is so absorbed in the great fortune of Kausalya. For 1 hour, Acharya says, for 1 hour he's chanting name of Kausalya. And then he remembers, oh, I have to wake them up. Kausalya, Suprajaram, Purva Sandhya Pravartati. That is it. So too much of renunciation will surely make the heart dry, and then person will not be entitled for bhakti, he will be entitled for jnana yoga. So balance is what bhakti has to give. Okay, balance. Bhakti means balanced life. Now it is, you are saying is all okay. Renunciation and enjoyment both have to be balanced. But there are times in life of a sadhaka where due to weakness of heart takes over that sadhaka and he can't overcome. Okay. Now what to do when weakness of heart overcomes the life of a sadhaka? So this is been spoken in the shloka 11, 14, 18. Badyamanopi madbhakto visher ajitendriya prayag pragalbaya bhaktya visher navibadyate. He said, even if, yes, this is the shloka 11, 14, 18. Badyamanopi madbhakto. Badyamanopi means even my devotee is harassed. Vishayer, by sense objects. And praya means it may happen that he may fall. Okay, praya, he may fall. But pragalbaya bhaktya. But if he is dedicated to spiritual practice, vishayar navi badyate. Gradually he will see that the sense objects will not harm him, or he will not be defeated by the sense objects. Okay. So you may say, yeah, it is okay, but most of the time we have to keep on struggling for all this, with all this. Yeah, then we'll come to that point, to the point where we should not fall. Okay, now we'll be considering both the things. May fall due to weakness of heart, but still we have to come to the platform of being steady. Okay, now this is the shloka from which everything what I'm speaking is been taken. There is an elaborate purport on this. I've done nothing, I'm just repeating it. I've also heard some lectures and just repeating the entire thing. Okay, so this is 11 to 36. Please read this purport. Solution part is given here, 11 to 36. Very famous shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, yes, 11 to 36. So this is the shloka where if you read everything what I'm speaking is from there. Kayena vacha manasendriyarva buddhyatmanava shruta swabhavat. Okay. Karoti yadyat sakalam parasmay narayana iti samarpayat. So in this shloka, kayena, body, vacha, speech, manasa, mind, indriya, senses, buddhya, intelligence, atmana, purified consciousness, anushrita, followed swabhavat. Okay, now previous word is what? Atmana, purified consciousness or purified state, or under circumstances it may so happen anushrita swabhavat, the previous swabhav that the sadhaka had gained through his previous practice, karoti yad yat sakalam parasmay. Now two states are defined, purified state also, and while on the journey previous conditions may come up and divert the sadhaka. Okay, so under all sakalam, under all situations, what to do if a devotee gets swayed away? What to do? Karoti yad yat sakalam parasmay narayana iti samarpayan. So they are saying that even if by fault, knowingly, unknowingly, a devotee gets diverted, narayana iti samarpayan, you should offer all that to Lord Narayan. And the same shloka they quote, giving reference from Gita, yat karoshi yad ashnashi. Whatever you do, do it for Lord Narayan or Lord Krishna. Okay. Now there is something that is called as, now you may say, but how do you relate in bhakti? Because we are told we have to do some things and we have not to do something. Therefore, regulative principle not to be done. Follow all the time. there is something that we have to do. Okay, let's come to this point. Okay, there are some actions which are not related to bhakti, but they can be made bhakti. Example, when we wake up in morning, we brush teeth. Now it is not a devotional service. Okay, we take bath. It is not a devotional service, but this can be made into bhakti. This is called as aropa siddha bhakti. Arop means, just like if you want to entangle some person in a wrong case, you have to just put his name in that case and he'll be part of that entire case. Okay, so you have to arop. There is something called as overlapping of bhakti, and that action becomes bhakti. Okay, now what happens is, if by his previous conditioning, a person, now this is one category, that whatever you do, right or wrong, you do it for Lord Vishnu. There are some actions which are direct bhakti, which are indirect bhakti. Just like brushing teeth is indirect part. So aropa siddha, you overlap it with bhakti and it becomes bhakti. Now some are by nature bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam. You cannot say, I offer this to Krishna. No, it is already offered to Krishna because it is related to Krishna. Other things have to be seen in relation. That is how Arop Siddha Bhakti comes into picture. Okay. Now somebody may ask, is it that you are giving license to do anything right or wrong, saying that it was my previous conditioning and now I'm offering it to Krishna? Now it was my swabhavika karma and now I'm offering it to Krishna. No. Now in that purport, they are writing about these two things. Okay, so even if you take the category of swabhavika karma, there is something called as dushkarma, means wrong action. Okay, I didn't do it purposefully. Suppose if some devotee has habit of, previously he had an habit of drinking liquor or smoking cigarette. Okay, and some day he went alone and he saw a liquor bar, and 2 times 3 times he somehow tried to control, but 4th time his mind said, no, you have to do this. Okay, we can't. So he enters and does a wrong thing because he was forced by his previous conditionings. Okay, now there is this dushkarma that is happening. Now acharyas say that this dushkarma can happen by mistake. For example, if we go to some new devotee's house and they don't know that we don't eat onion garlic, and they put onion garlic in the sabji, and when you ate that sabji, you understood that there is something wrong in this, and then that is all. But now you have already started eating, and to please the devotee, you eat it. So this is called by mistake. Okay, just like I still remember when we were new devotees, so we used to go on our Ayvais yatras. So we went to Ahobilam, and it was very nice yatra. So afternoon prasadam, and all the boys, we were around like 250 boys then, all were sitting, and Gaurang Prabhu was personally there, and he was serving all the boys. So there was something, just like we have frams. So there was a kind of frams, and Gaurang Prabhu noticed one thing, that all the boys are repeatedly taking this frams, and they're eating with great taste. There was idli, there was sambar, there are so many items, but this was something that boys were repeatedly coming and asking, give me more, give me more. So Gaurang Prabhu said, what is the matter? Why they are eating so much? And then Gaurang Prabhu put one of those frams in his mouth. And then he understood what the problem was. So what they were serving was something called as onion rings. That was made of onion. And boys who already had taste, all new boys in yatra. So eating onion rings, they thought it is prasad. So they are eating one bowl after another bowl. So they also didn't know, Gaurang Prabhu also didn't know, because not all things are tasted before that. So they're onion rings, so they're eating. So this is by mistake. Second thing is, weakness of heart can happen, and that person can commit that action. Okay, now what is the right mood? Just like we saw, Narayana iti samarpayami. If the devotee takes it word to word, what will happen? If he commits wrong mistake and he offers to Krishna, because there is a statement, if you read Shri Sampradaya books, they say, whatever sins you have committed, make them into a sandal and give the Lord to wear that. Okay, you cannot offer the sins to Lord, but you can make them a sandal and offer them to the Lord. This is one of the Sri Madhva Sampradaya, very senior teacher. He told me this. I said, how do you see Sharnagati? Because we have so many past sins and we have so many past conditioning. He says, we are told that we have to offer them as sandals to the Lord, and we can allow the Lord to wear that sandal. And once those sins come in touch with the Lord, all the sins are destroyed. Okay. But what happens when a sadhaka does this? He has to understand, if he keeps doing wrong mistake, if he keeps doing wrong action and keeps offering them to Krishna, there will be an increase in propensity for more wrong actions. And once he gets in the trap of more wrong actions, it will cause difference of opinion or wrong actions against devotees, and that will lead to aparadh. And once he commits aparadh, it will be followed by more and more suffering. Okay. So the sadhaka has to understand that whatever sukarma or dushkarma he is doing, mama sukarmani dushkarmani yad raga samanvayam. Raga, the emotions, what he has to offer, not the actions, the emotions that he had for that action. Some devotee previously was drinking or smoking or he had some other habit. That is not action based, that is emotion based. Ajamil saw the prostitute. He had some emotions developed during that scene when he saw that. So acharyas are saying we don't have to transfer the action. The emotions have to be, we are not offering the act, we are offering the emotions that are attached to the action. And this is what exactly same thing Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions in his bhajan, Prabhu Tava Pada Yuge Moro Nivedan. Read this bhajan, very powerful bhajan. And this entire concept he has noted in this bhajan. Vishaye je priti eveya chaye amar, sei priti mat ho charane tomar. He is saying, my Lord, I am highly attached to the sense object. I have strong emotions for them. But now let me have that priti, let me have that emotions for your lotus feet, my Lord. So actions are not to be offered. The emotions that are offered, that are attached to that actions, we have to offer that to the Lord. And the purport ends with this shloka, which Rajiv Goswami quotes: Yuti nam yatha yuno, yunam chayuto yatha, manobhi ramate tadvan, manome ramatam tvai. Just like a young boy is attached to a young girl, and a young girl is attached to a young boy, similarly, manobhi ramate, that all my emotions that are developed seeing the sense objects, my dear Lord, manome ramatam tvai, all those emotions be developed for you. And that is the same bhajan that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, sei priti mat ho charane toma. So actions can be right or wrong. We don't have to offer the results, but we have to offer the emotions. We pray to Krishna that whatever emotions I have for the sense object or for wrong actions, my dear Lord, let me offer them to you so that I can develop such strong emotion that I have for the sense object, that I can develop them for you. So this is the way how we handle all these emotions. We have to transfer not the actions, but the emotion. That is why, what is the name of our organization? Krishna consciousness. Consciousness means bhavana. Bhavana means what? Emotions. Let all my emotions be for whom? For Lord Krishna. Once we reach that stage, then it is very difficult for us to come down, because all our emotions will be naturally flowing towards Krishna. Just like a young boy and young girl, emotions are flowing towards either just by seeing. Emotions are developed and they are flowing. Just we have to wait till the day when all our emotions get transferred to Lord Krishna. That will come by regularly hearing and service to the Lord. Then we will start developing those emotions. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnava ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dhanva Pranam, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. What a beautiful class, Prabhu. Thank you so much. So many references from Shastras you gave. It's just so beautiful, so easy, and and such a transcendental process. Thank you so much. I loved how you started with the arrow. Usually an arrow will break, but certainly arrow of Kamadeva joins. We all have seen that in our life. Most of us in the conditional, we are conditional souls in material life. So, and I loved your example of Gokula, the network of senses, where you explain very nicely how the first restriction is opposite sex. And lastly, you were talking about this bhajan of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I think, right? Yes. Yeah. And I read the translation of it. It says, "Let me love your lotus feet as much as I now love sense gratification. Transfer my affection from the objects of the senses to your lotus feet." What a beautiful bhajan, Prabhu. And I was thinking, on the Krishna lotus feet, there is a flag, and flag represents Cupid, right? So if we focus our attention to the Krishna's lotus feet, that is the only way we can actually hold this Cupid, in us, which attacks us with this arrow and try to, what you explain in all your class. So thank you so much, Prabhu. What a beautiful class, Prabhu. Just amazing class. Thank you so much for such an amazing class. Prabhu, with your permission, can we go to the question answer session?
We can take one question because I have to.
Oh, just one question. Okay. Prabhu, we will go with our senior devotee, His Grace Prahlad Anand Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dhanavad Pranam.
Dhanavad Pranam, Prabhuji. What an excellent class. And I'm so grateful.
Hare Krishna. Dhanavad Pranam, Prabhuji. Nice to see you.
I don't have a question. I just want to glorify Krishna Katha and this, song you have given us for Lahas. And I'll never forget this. I always sing this sloka of 11th canto, Yadurcha Mat Katha. So I never understood it. Today, I'm so grateful you explained it. I'm completely satisfied hearing that. And about our, Krishna Bhakti Ras Bhavita Mati Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhya. So I'm so grateful. I want to touch your feet and all the Vaishnavas. Maharaj, this is so great. I'm so grateful for the diamond class you have given us today, which has cannot value it,
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to speak, Raj Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Sukumar Prabhu, then we can take another question from our another very regular attendee, Sukakara Prabhu, if you have time.
Krishna.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Sukumar Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhu. Actually, I do run 5-6 Zoom classes, so this question I cannot answer. Many of the devotees, senior devotees, they say that whenever we tell about some lusty feelings and all, always they say, always Krishna Katha, Krishna Katha. But today you touched the point that emotion for such wrong activity has to be surrendered and should be diverted to Krishna. So that emotion become a purified emotion. So this was the real point you touched, Prabhu. So I can tell everyone who are going through the problem is somehow, whatever they are doing for the wrong action also, just go and pray to Krishna and say that, yes, this is my emotion. I want to divert it to your lotus feet. Am I right, Prabhu, or anything else?
Yes,
with
Prabhu,
11
perfect.
to 36.
Yes, Prabhu, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. You really touched the heart, Prabhu. You really saved so many devotees out of the trouble.
Thank you.
Dhanyavad,
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Tiffany Mataji is loving your class like always. Thank you, Tiffany Mataji. Thank you so much, Prabhu. As you said, you have to leave, Prabhu. So
yes.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, again for such a beautiful class. And we are very grateful to you, Prabhu. And we look forward for your association again in the future, Prabhu.
Yes,
please.
yes. We look forward to being with all of you. Thank you for allowing me to serve.
That's your mercy, Prabhu. That's your humbleness, Prabhu. Thank you.
I always love to see all of you devotees. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dear devotees, let us pay our obeisances to Prabhuji. Let us thanks, Prabhuji. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhyo pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ji ki jai. His Grace Sukumar Prabhu ji ki jai.